Welcome everyone to this session on strengthening cross-country and cross-sectoral talent circulation here at the R&I Days 2020. We're here in Brussels and online with all of you to get feedback from all of our stakeholders to help us shape the European research area and also to shape the future framework programme of Horizon Europe. My name's Gareth O'Neill. I'm a Principal Consultant on Open Science at Technopolis Group and also a researcher in Theoretical Linguistics at Leiden University, and I will be moderating this session on talents circulation. I would like to welcome our invited speakers. Here in the studio with us to my left, we have Anna Panagopoulou, who is Director of the Common Implementation Centre and Acting Director for Research and Innovation Outreach at the European Commission. Also on my left, we have Antoaneta Angelova-Krasteva, who is Director for Innovation, International Cooperation and Sport at the European Commission. Welcome, Anna and Antoaneta. Online, we are also joined by three esteemed guests. We have Romana Jordan, who is Advisor to the Director of the Joseph Stefan Institute, member of the EIT Governing Board and member of the Mission Board on Climate Neutral and Smart Cities. We have Luisa Henriquez, who is Coordinator for Research and Space at the Portuguese Permanent Representation to the EU. And we also have Ludovic Tilly, who is Professor of Physics at the University of Poitiers and also Chair of the Coimbra Group. So welcome Romana, Luisa and Ludovic online. We're looking forward to hearing from you soon. We will also be listening to the views of three early career researchers who are doing or have been doing an MSCA research program and who have been geographically and intersectorally mobile in their research careers. The main goals of this session are to discuss effective measures at national, regional and EU level. Number one, to enable a geographically more balanced circulation of research and innovation talents through favourable working conditions and better access to mobility funding programmes. Two, to boost permeability and employability of research and innovation talents across all sectors, including academia, industry, the public sector. And three, to improve the interaction between all stakeholders for the training and career development of researchers and for research and innovation cooperation. Before we start, I'd like to note to all of our listeners that we're here to listen to you, and we would very much like that you give comments or questions in the Slido chat box session throughout the whole session, and we will come back to that in the open discussion later. I would like to now give the floor directly to Anna Panagopoulou, who will tell us a bit more about policies for talent circulation. Anna, welcome, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much, Gareth. Good morning to everybody. I'm very pleased to be with you today. I'm extremely pleased also to share my views and ideas in this panel together with my colleague director, Antoaneta, with whom we are working very closely in this policy domain of brain circulation. With Romana, Luisa and Ludovic, we have already shared a lot of ideas and views on how we can go ahead, in particular in the context of the new European Research Area communication that the Commission is very in the coming days is going to announce, and actually how we can work together on putting in place actions and activities to reinforce the brain circulation. European Research Area has been established with one very important goal and objective, which is the single market for researchers, and of course competitiveness through research and innovation. During the discussions that we had in view of preparing this new European Research Area communication, it was very clear if we want to improve excellence, if we want to improve access to excellence across Europe, brain circulation, attracting talents is going to be one of the most important issues to reinforce. A lot of success has been done in this domain, but more work needs to be done, not just about encouraging mobility between countries, but also about promoting, attracting of talents. As you know, many talents, European talents nowadays, they are fleeing away, they are going to the United States, outside Europe, how we can bring them back. Secondly, by promoting common conditions and framework conditions so that will encourage the career of the researchers. What we can do more on that. Thirdly, by promoting the intersectorial mobility and bringing closer academia and business. Because if we want the results of the work of the researchers to go to the market, bringing closer academia and business and mobilizing researchers between academia and business is very important. Attracting new talents to European research, but also attracting new talents to business to bring the research experience and the the research capabilities to the industry is very important. A lot of ideas around the table, a lot of work that needs to be done in the future, and we should not forget as well that Europe is there for the young people. So what we can do more to attract the young talents back to the research and innovation. What we can do more to capitalize on young talents in the regions. So innovation ecosystems, they have been established across Europe. How we can capitalize on what we have actually as innovation ecosystem, as a framework to attract new talents and to develop the innovations that will bring a difference not only to Europe, but also to the regional development. So a lot of ideas around the table, a lot of discussions that have taken place, and we strongly believe that this new communication on the European research area will pave the way for further engagement and collaboration between the European Commission, the member states, the actors, stakeholders, and the regions on how to promote and reinforce mobility of researchers and attraction of talents in Europe. Thank you very much. I would like to apologize myself because I will have to leave in a few minutes, but I'm sure that you are going to have very fruitful discussion, and I will be very happy to receive the outcome of these discussions.
Thank you, Anna. And I would like to pass the floor directly to Antoinette, who will tell us more about mobility and intersectoral cooperation. The floor is yours, Antoinette.
Thank you very much, Garrett, and a very good morning to all. I would like to welcome all the panelists as well as the participants in this session. Let me start by also highlighting the importance we attach to cross-border and cross-sectoral circulation of talent. And we know that with the COVID-19 crisis, we saw the crucial role of our excellent research and innovation systems, and also the crucial role and contribution of our scientific communities in tackling major global challenges. It is indeed very important how they contribute to ensuring a healthy, sustainable, prosperous, but also very resilient and fair society. And here today, as already mentioned by Anna, I would like to give two very concrete examples for programs under the Horizon program, which contribute through concrete measures to further promoting the circulation of talent for sharing knowledge. And the first one is the Marie Skłodowska-Curie actions, and the second one is the European Institute of Innovation and Technology. So for the Marie Skłodowska-Curie actions, it is very relevant as it is promoting and supporting international, interdisciplinary, and also intersectoral mobility and training of researchers, excellent researchers, through the development of excellent doctoral networks and collaborative research. And Msca is known, and it is also widely recognized for developing the highly skilled and resilient researchers we need today. But we have to admit that these excellent researchers also face major challenges when we talk about the circulation of talent. And these are challenges which relate to geographically and also cross-sectoral circulation of talent. Anna already mentioned in her introduction that a balanced brain circulation is widely acknowledged as a key ingredient for advanced research and innovation. And as I said, for Msca, we've been implementing very concrete measures. Let me mention them very briefly. The first one is the support that we provide to national contact points in widening countries in order to help them to improve their guidance, their promotion, their support, and also helping their own countries to make a better use of the Msca as a tool to attract excellent researchers, and in particular their diaspora. A second measure we are implementing, this is the promotion of the Msca Seal of Excellence, which encourage the use of funds at national, but also European funds, structural and investment funds, and regional level. And they aim to support researchers with very high quality proposals to the Msca individual fellowships call, but which could not be funded due to budget constraints. And last but not least, the third example I would like to give is the 3-year pilot project we have funded for the Widening Fellowships, and it aims to support excellent researchers which are not funded under the Msca, and we enable them to undertake such fellowships in a widening country. Thanks to this pilot project, we've seen a significantly increased number of researchers going to widening countries. So under Horizon Europe, we are planning to further strengthen these measures, and we are also examining ways of how to build on the success already achieved, including of the widening scholarships. Also, let me briefly mention the European Institute of Innovation and Technology, as it is very well placed to contribute to balanced circulation of talents. One of its objectives is to increase, namely, the regional outreach of the activities performed by the EIT and its knowledge and innovation communities in order to address regional disparities in innovation capacity across the EU. And its unique feature is, namely, the integration of the so-called knowledge triangle, bringing together education, research and entrepreneurship at all levels, European member states, but also regional and local. You're going probably to hear more about the EIT and its activities from Romana, but I will mention two particular points. The first one, this is the important role that the regional collocation centers play, and these are the centers through which the knowledge and innovation communities operate, because they bring the various actors from the knowledge triangle together, and they facilitate their cooperation and collaboration, thus enriching the regional innovation ecosystem. And the second one I would like to mention is the Regional Innovation Scheme, which was launched by the EIT in 2014, and which actually aims to promote and facilitate the sharing of good practices and experience which emerge from the EIT community activities, and which also helps to widen the participation of countries with moderate and modest innovation capacity and performance within the activities of the KIC. A very final word I would like to make, and actually to complement or echo what Anna already said. This is the need for joined up efforts, the need for cooperation at all levels, European, national, regional and local. Because if we would like to succeed and if we would like to achieve really reinforced circulation of talent across borders and regions, we need to work together. Thank you very much, and I'm looking forward to a very fruitful and interesting discussion.
Thank you, Antoinetta. And we will now hear the views of three MSCA researchers who are currently or have just stopped doing their MSCA researcher. So we're going to show you a couple of short videos now, one after another. Our first researcher is Marina Rantan, who is Swedish-Finnish and is doing an MSCA PhD on cyber-physical systems at the Technical University Dortmund in Germany. So let's hear Marina.
I am Marina Rantanen. I am the Executive Secretary at the Marie Curie Alumni Association and an MSCA PhD candidate at the Technical University of Dortmund in Germany. I have a mixed background with degrees in business and engineering, and I have worked in media, business development and engineering. I moved from academia to industry, back to academia, where I'm currently researching the design of complex engineering systems. The transferable skills training that we receive seems geared towards those of us who have been in and consider to return to industry. To be more inclusive and efficient, I believe that we should leverage on that already existing involvement of industry in academia and let them lead that training to, first of all, trigger the interest of our PhD candidates, second of all, be relevant for industry itself, and third of all, establish those very important relationships between industry and academia.
Thank you, Marina. Our second researcher is Giulia Malaguarnera, who is Italian and is doing an MSCA postdoc on microfluidic systems at Cherry Biotech and the Curie Institute in France. Giulia.
Hello, I'm Giulia Malaguarnera, current president of Eurodoc and an Italian Marie Curie individual fellow working at Cherry Biotech in France. The opportunity is that being in a startup company, research, business development and marketing are fundamentally closer. However, in my opinion, there are still challenges. Firstly, business and research does not speak the same language. Secondly, academia values publishing rather than translating the research into a product. Lastly, there is often no incentive for company to engage in research that does not contribute to their bottom line. I'm excited for us to address this challenge and improve the permeability between industry and academia. Thank you.
Thank you, Julia. Our third and final researcher is Francisco Gonçalves, who is Portuguese and I believe was highly mobile throughout his MSca PhD on forensic psychology. He has now returned back to Portugal, where he said he's very happy, and he's working for Ernst & Young. So, Francisco.
Hi everybody, my name is Francisco Gonçalves and I'm a senior forensic psychologist at EY within the Forensic and Integrity Services Department. Recently I finished my PhD at the University of Leicester, where I benefited from a Marie Curie ITN fellowship, and my PhD was focusing on criminology and psychology of criminal science and forensic science investigators. From my PhD and from the internationally approach that I could have using a Marie Curie fellowship, I got the opportunity to get some competences and some capabilities to apply now at the private industry, such as a finance consultancy company.
Thank you, Francisco. What I would like to do now is to move to our speakers online, and just to know that some of our researchers I think are online, so they may actually comment in the chat section themselves. And I would like to pass the floor directly to Romina. We'd like to hear your response to this and your position on talent circulation. So the floor is yours, Romina. You may be muted, by the way.
Good morning, and thank you for inviting me to this very interesting and important discussion. First of all, let me mention that whenever we are talking about talent circulation, I think the biggest challenge we are facing here is Europe is how to avoid brain drain within European Union. Because if we would like to have a balanced or circulation throughout the European Union, our research environments should be, let's say, similarly attractive. We know that European Union has very limited powers in the field of research policy, and as long as these policies, these powers will be so limited, I feel we will face problems with brain drain. So we have to find a way how to define some binding targets, for example, for funding of research, and some binding policies to synchronize reforms of research system, national research systems. This is my first point. My next point is that European mechanisms, instruments are designed in different bodies, working groups, boards, and so on. They should reflect differences throughout the European Union. So we have to strive to achieve geographical balance in all these bodies. At Joseph Stefan Institute, where I am currently working, we usually don't face problems with excellent researcher or excellent researchers or excellent research equipment. But what we do face are problems with salaries, so equal remuneration, and it's really not clear to us why we have to be limited with national salaries if we are competing in the European and international market. About intersectoral mobility and involvement of non-academic sector, European Union has already some mechanisms and instruments which do support cooperation of research, of business with research organizations, for example, European partnerships, or at the moment the only European instrument which supports realization of so-called knowledge triangle. This is education, innovation, and business. It's European Institute of Technology. This institute is showing already excellent results. For example, more than 60 hubs throughout the European Union, with more than 2,000 partners from European Union, with more than 3,000 graduates completing EAT program. This is also intersectoral cooperation. So. In the same way, the mission for city where I sit in the mission board is designed. And then there are also some instruments within the cohesion policy, like smart strategy, which also supports this cooperation. So I think that we have to strengthen these mechanisms, align them with mechanisms which are supporting mobility, like risk-adjusted actions. Give them appropriate budget and improve visibility. And my final words, please keep synergies with cohesion, with seal of excellence. Please keep widening within these actions, and maybe think about introducing more flexibility to MSCA actions. I'm ready then to, during the discussion, to explain more in details all these points. Thank you.
Thank you, Romana. And I would like to pass the floor directly to Luisa Henriquez. Luisa.
Hi, good morning. Thank you for inviting me for this important open session on a topic that is dear to my heart and to the incoming Portuguese presidency of the EU that will start next semester. Portugal and its trio member partners, Germany and Slovenia, have selected as an overarching priority the renewal of the European research area. 20 years has passed since its creation in Lisbon in 2000, and we think that it's timely to have a renewal of it. So we are working in co-creation with the European Commission, as Anna just said, during these 18 months to make it a reality. In this context of the trio and of the ERA, our presidency that will come, as I said, in 1st of January 2021, we will put the researchers and its conditions, job creation, and the achievement of an effective balance of brain circulation within the ERA at the core of our policy priority. Today, I want to focus on two issues, and I will be very attentive to all the suggestions of this forum. So my first point is how to provide the right policy incentives and measures to reduce brain drain flows from the south to the north, from the east to the west, within the European research area. Romana has mentioned that just before me. One way to achieve it might be to have, in parallel to the successful mobile instruments and framework conditions that we have already, have other instruments and measures that stimulate brain gain through all Europe. We have just seen the video of Francisco, my compatriot. He is having a return grant, and he is a good example. So we need to support the return in all career stages, from an early stage to a senior stage, smoothing the re-entry into the research system, allowing time to create new links while keeping the existing networks. That could be a step forward. Examples such as Francisco, that has come back to Portugal from the UK and has moved to the private sector, illustrate the potential of this return mechanism. But we could as well tell the example of 2 years ago of an Austrian scientist that was trying to keep its links with Spain while he was returning to his home country in Austria. So the idea behind this return and to support this return to have brain gain is to promote and smooth the return without breaking the ties that will for sure benefit all. The second point I want to mention is the intersectoral mobility. I want to just highlight it because it has been long in the policy agenda, but it's time to make it more a reality beyond the instruments and the efforts that it has been said regarding MSCA and DIT. We need to do more. So This topic in our priority is very much linked with research careers, which has to provide the right framework conditions for the mobility between university and the industry and backward. So to conclude, the balanced flow of researchers and research careers, alongside with job creation and precarity reduction, are on the top of our policy agenda as Portugal and as trio, Germany, Portugal, and Slovenia. So I want to thank you for this opportunity, and I will be very attentive to all the suggestions that you can provide us to enrich the agenda for our incoming presidency. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Luisa. And I pass the floor to our last speaker, Ludovic Tilly. Ludovic, the floor is yours.
Thank you. You hear me well?
Very well.
Okay, so I'm really delighted to be here today and to represent the Coimbra Group, that is an association of 41 education and research-led universities. And among the working groups that we have a lot of them focusing on indeed what is related to human resources and research generally. And I would like to say that this gives us a comprehensive view on all missions of the Knowledge Square, and in particular about also the intrinsic and extrinsic challenges that research and researchers do face today. Maybe I would start with the main observation that we all know, that there is still a very important heterogeneity in the research and innovation system, including the human resources aspect of research. And this leads to important limitations to the talent circulation, both geographical and intersectoral. And today what I'm going to briefly present is possible effective measures and actions that we all together, that means at national, regional and European level, could or should promote to circumvent these challenges. The first one is actually related to the recognition of career pathways for researchers to ensure that they have a clear job security and career progression. As you know, short-term contract researchers, they make a significant contribution to the scientific reputation of Europe's universities, but yet they face significant barriers in terms of job security and career progression. This is also related to the so-called permadoc phenomenon, where a lot of researchers just go from one contract to another on. And this is usually associated to structural and or national issues, including the decrease of public research positions in many countries, and also to the generalization of the 2-3-year research projects. Also, we see that the next funding programs, among which is Horizon Europe, will promote cross-disciplinary and cross-sectoral research and innovation. But yet, interdisciplinary research is challenging in multiple respects, including the possible disadvantages for academic career paths. And similarly, there are a lot of silos at all levels, including also, to recognize it, at University 1. For instance, research structures could be organized now rather around challenges than disciplines. And here, by the way, we also see that alliances of European universities will fortunately be test beds for new challenge-based activities in education and research. Also, the talent circulation needs a boost in transversal skills training, both in the form of train-the-trainer courses and also intensive programs for PhD candidates. But here, there is a need for a stronger collaboration between career services and the units in charge of researchers. The second point would be related to an increase of support to researchers when transitioning to another country or to another sector. This means, for instance, the mobility of pensions, straightforward ways to obtain a visa, generalization of welcome centers, and here, of course, the Euraccess program is absolutely key. The third point would be to push for a full implementation of a real culture of equality, diversity, and inclusion for all staff within universities, but in particular for researchers. That means appropriate employment conditions, equal opportunities, transparency for the recruitment process, representation at all levels within the institutions, inclusion in career development opportunities, etc. Well, actually, what I'm listing here means that we should push for generalization of the human resources strategies for researchers. And in particular, the label associated to it that is based on the principles of the European Charter for Researchers and the Code of Conduct. Universities have already the opportunity to push in that direction, but we know clearly that a stronger European momentum is needed to transform this into a real systemic change. And last but not least, we probably need an acceleration of the transition to open science. And for that, we need to ensure that doctoral candidates and researchers as a whole really can be better trained from all disciplines, can be better trained in the principles and the practices related to open science. So, as a sort of a temporary conclusion, I would say that we at Coimbra Group call for a significant increased investment in human capital to support all researchers, including doctoral candidates and postdocs, whose work and career path progression have in particular been recently strongly affected by the restrictive measures in place during the pandemic and probably will continue. So this is my contribution for now.
Thank you, Ludovic. And I'm going to jump straight in on what you've just said about the generalization of HRS4R, so the Human Resources Strategy for Researchers. Could you elaborate a little bit more on that and maybe explain how this could make a difference for institutions to make themselves more attractive for mobile R&I talents and also to support them in this mobility?
Well, here I can personally testify because at my university in Poitiers, France, I am the one in charge in the implementation of this HRS for Researchers label. And I can tell you that when we prepared all the steps to obtain that level, in particular the gap analysis and the action plan, I could really see that there was on one side great expectations from all actors within the institution. But on the other side, also, we have always more important things to do, right? And this is not always at the top of our agenda, this type of improvement. So we could, fortunately, obtain that label in Poitiers here in France. But I can tell you that now that we have the label, if there was some supporting actions that altogether we can really push that it becomes true and not just declarations and action plans on papers, that would really push that each institution really go into that process and transform this into a real change, because that is needed.
Yep. And Romana, if I can come back to you, you mentioned that you want to strengthen and align existing mechanisms, and you've looked at equal remuneration and the different types of national salaries and so forth. A question to you on intersectoral mobility and, let's say, the interaction and alignment between academia and industry. So how do you think higher education institutions and organizations can perhaps organize themselves better in engaging with industry, in creating arrangements with industry to facilitate intersectoral mobility more and to encourage researchers and support researchers in this intersectoral mobility?
Thank you for your question. One angle or viewpoint of one perspective of my answer could be from the EIT point of view. I think that there is an interest from the business part, from research part, from education part to cooperate. But what is important is that we appropriately incentivize all these three parts of the knowledge triangle to really cooperate. As I mentioned here, we do have one good example. This is the European Institute of Innovation and Technology, which was established more than 10 years ago, with his first free kicks established 10 years ago. And with, I would say, impressive results. what is important here that we are not focused on, I don't know, on some actions, but that we see the holistic system, that we have to create a really attractive environment with research, innovation projects, with education projects, with, of course, some intensives for business to cooperate. If I'm trying now to reflect situation in member states from eastern part, I'm from Slovenia, from Josef Stefan Institute. The obstacle we are facing usually when we are trying to take part in such mechanisms is that we are smaller community, that our environments are smaller, that our companies are smaller. So we don't have experiences with big projects which are needed if we would like to enter on equal basis to these bigger systems. Here I would like to pledge also to the European Union to take into account also the needs of such smaller member states, because as we see from mandate to mandate, from 1 year to next year, or from one program to next framework program, we are more directed to the bigger projects, and we are facing bigger and bigger problems with this. This is important not only for research organizations or academia, but also for our companies. The problem is, for example, that business, which is very profit-oriented, cannot see the benefits to cooperate in such a way with research and academia sector.
Thank you. And Luisa, some of the questions coming in, I see, refer to keeping or retaining talents or trying to get talents to return. And you mentioned that you find it important that we help researchers return and that we push for this brain gain of researchers. One of the questions related to how could we do this more to get our mobile researchers to return home. And from the video, for instance, Francisco, and he told me personally that he was very happy to return to his own native country. So what could you perhaps think of that could encourage our researchers to come back to their own countries, especially in the widening parts of Europe? You may be muted, by the way.
Sorry. This is a very important issue that we are dealing with. And in the current proposal of Horizon Europe, we have already a pilot for building an instrument that can help the return of talents to their home countries. This is important by two sides, because the return of talent to the country will bring with him the competence that he have acquired abroad, and as well the network. And we can connect both the previous system with the one that is coming back to his own country. So we think returning is and building on the diaspora is a way to enhance excellence in all parts of Europe. And in fact, it's difficult in terms of European research area, where we have the mobility as main aim to increase or to promote instruments that in a way is kind of reducing the possibilities of mobility. What we are asking is that we can kind of incentivize the gain of talent by, on one hand, inviting people to go abroad and to contribute to the other systems and to the European prosperity, but as well to keep the links inside with their home system. So we have strong expectations regarding this pilot that is included in Horizon Europe proposal, but we also would like to know more about the statistics on the flows, because for now we know the statistics from the inflows from Europe and the income and the outcome from other parts. So we need to understand, we need to have solid data on how much is going around in Europe in terms of flows of researchers. We need to understand where are they going, where are they concentrated, because we know that huge concentration is happening in Europe in certain given spots, and we would like to understand how we can expand excellence through human resources to other parts of Europe. And as it was said before by Ludwig, and I agree completely with most of his suggestions, is that we need to do this not only through the institutions, through the regions, but as well at the European level. And one way to do this is to create career paths that allow geographical mobility and intersectoral mobility. We have now in Europe, because of our mobility instruments, which have been very successful, and it has already been said, we have a layer of mobile researchers that need to have a consolidated career path. And we need to find ways to build that, to have a career that is open, to move from one country to the other, and to have a career that allows to move from university to industry and backwards. So we strongly believe that we need to have an European dimension to the European careers. And we do believe as well that we need to understand which are the flows that are happening in Europe, in the European Union, and we need to address them with the appropriate instruments to complement already the ones that exist, although in Msca or EIT, but all of these instruments are not enough to tackle this issue. We need really much more on that. Thank you.
Thank you. I'm aware of time, that we've got 3 minutes to go, so I'd like to ask you, our three speakers, for a very short take-home message, and I'd like to start with you, Ludovic.
Well, if you allow me, I will just briefly react to your question to Romana about the permeability between the two sectors, because as we heard, the problem is that usually they don't speak the same language. If this intersectoral communication is included in the doctoral training, then this is one first key to have really a sort of intersectoral culture. And now to go back to your request for last word, I would say that research without researchers cannot happen, and therefore human capital is key.
And Romana, short take-home message?
I would finish with this thought. EU is full of talents in all parts. Let's give them the chance and equal opportunities to compete with the colleagues throughout the European Union.
And thank you. Sorry, continue.
Take the differences into account.
Thank you. And Lovisa, also a short take-home?
Yes, a short take-home. An incoming presidency is really that we need to make a change, and you need to make a reality so we can improve the quality of life and of work conditions of researchers. And we are open to receive all your suggestions to contribute to our reflection for the next 6 months.
Thank you to our speakers for your contributions, and I'd like to pass the last word to Antoinette for your short reflection on the session.
Yeah, thank you very much. I would like first to thank for this very, very rich and insightful discussion, for the very concrete proposals that were made. I will make a few highlights. First of all, to once again underline that there is a need for actions to further counteract the brain drain and to turn it into a brain gain. Brain circulation is extremely important. There was a focus, a very strong emphasis put on further reinforcement reinforcing intersectoral cooperation and mobility. This is extremely important, not only for the transversal skills of researchers, but also bringing very concrete solutions to existing societal challenges. And we need to work together in order to maximize the benefits of brain circulation. Thank you.
Thank you to all of our speakers, and thank you to you at home, and we see you in the next sessions. Have a nice day.